Welcome.
You are watching Line Screw 1.
Well, hello tubers. Hope you're doing well on this Canada Day. So I figured I would take this opportunity to provide my State of the Dominion address to tell you all what's going on in Canada, all the crazy things that have happened recently, and provide some of my thoughts. First of all, it is Canada Day. Canada as a nation was born in 1867, and we continue to thrive in spite of all the silliness and political bickering and environmental concerns, whatever real or imagined that they may be. But of course, as of late, the temperature has been the crazy thing that we've all been thinking about, especially here in Western Canada. The little town of Lytton has broken the hottest Canadian records ever, 3 days in a row. They actually got to a point, I think on the third day, they hit something like 47.9 Celsius. Beating Las Vegas's hottest record ever of 47.3. Hard to believe Canada now has a higher temperature record than the city of Las Vegas has historically. It just doesn't make sense. Now, this quaint little village of Lytton, pretty much every year I like to go up to that area and camp at a provincial park called Ski Hist. It's probably about 8-10 minutes north of town. It's a first come first served campsite, which I do like. It's always guaranteed to be drier because it's on a rain shadow, so it's historically a very dry area. Unfortunately, after those 3 hot record setting days in the town of Lytton, the town burned down last night. Pretty much 90% of it is gone. Around 6 p.m. last night, a lot of people were getting reports that the town was on fire, and then people would open their door and realize, yes, the town is on fire, and they had very little time to get out. Some people tragically were questioning why they even took the keys to their home when they knew their home wasn't going to be there when they came back. So a very tragic situation. It just shows how the cascading effect of heat and what it can do just makes wildfires worse. And on top of that, with high temperature records, the river flows are intense in many areas of the province. So the paradox of so much heat being generated, if you were to actually fall into one of those fast flowing rivers, you're gonna die. If the rocks don't beat you into a pulp, the cold water will. It can be 44 degrees Celsius outside, but the water can be about 6 degrees. And you'll get hypothermia. You're gonna die like those people in the Titanic did. Silly weather is something Canada always suffers from. Extreme cold, extreme heat, extreme wet. And it's kind of a Canadian pastime to complain about the weather. Whether the weather is too hot, or too cold, or too wet, or too whatever. It's just a national pastime, folks. Tragically, some of the poorest Indigenous people have been affected in Lytton with this fire, many of them losing their homes on their band reservations. Not a good time for these folks, especially since it seems like every 3-4 days we're finding more dead bodies of children, sometimes adults, in unmarked graves. I don't know if any of you guys have caught these headlines. For several weeks now, we've been finding all these unmarked graves, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all over the West. Because Canada had this idea, until about maybe 50 years ago, to take Indigenous people away from their families and train them to be white Protestants. Not really a smart idea. Looking back, obviously, it was a dumb idea. It robbed people of their families, it robbed people of their cultural identity, and it allowed the Catholic Church to molest many of these children, in some cases even kill them. And generally abuse most of them. Now, this is not about bashing Catholics. As a matter of fact, most of my friends and intimate partners over the years have been Catholics. I attended a private Catholic school when I was younger. So I do like Catholics. I just don't like the Catholic Church and the administration, if you understand the difference of what I'm trying to point out. And today we're still waiting for the Pope to apologize for all the atrocities done in Canada. Now, since all these hundreds of dead bodies are showing up, what's been happening? Well, the local indigenous, it is rumored, are burning down Catholic churches. I'm not suggesting burning down Catholic churches is something that they should do, but I definitely emotionally can sympathize with their feelings. In fact, 4 Catholic churches in my province here, British Columbia, have been burned down. More in Manitoba and even Saskatchewan. And I wouldn't even be surprised by the time I upload this video, at least one more Catholic church is torched. Again, I understand the frustration. Now, our political leaders, because they don't really want to come on the side of protecting the Catholics and saying anything like, hey, you shouldn't be burning down Catholic churches, because it looks like you're defending the Catholics, which did all these horrible things in the past in my country. So most politicians, especially the ones in power, you know who you're talking about, the Liberal government here in Canada, they're really mum's the word on it. Let's not talk about it. If we do have to talk about it, let's keep it brief. Tragic. But that's the way the Liberal governments of the world work. They yap and yap and yap when it comes to their agenda, and they're pretty quiet and stoic when it comes to issues that involve other people that they really should address. But that's just my sentiment. And speaking more about the heat wave that we've been having, there's an irony to what happened. Believe it or not, between Friday and when the heat wave ended, a day ago in Vancouver, almost 500 people died. Mostly old people. Just kind of like what happened with COVID. Where was the government for that? They were spending billions, still spending billions, maybe trillions of dollars on the COVID affair to try to help save the dying old people. A noble cause. But heat wave hits, not enough paramedics, not enough firefighters, not enough air conditioning in those old folks' homes. Almost 500 people died. What up with that? In fact, the daily numbers of deaths exceeded the peak numbers of people that were dying for COVID at their peak time. What up with that? And our premier of the new Democratic Party, a socialist government here in BC, our premier said, well, it's up to you to look after yourself. Very cavalier. Strange how these politicians act. When it's a cause that they are emotionally invested in, they'll throw money and a lot of hot air to try to fight the problem, especially if they can squeak their agenda in under with the budget, so to speak. But when it comes to a heat wave, well, really hard to politicize that and get any points or spend any money for their causes. So, hey, so nearly 500 old people die. The premier doesn't care. I'm laughing at the irony, not at the deaths, just to be clear. Of course, we have the opposite of what you guys call the rhino effect. In the United States, you got the Republican in name only effect. Here you get the opposite. You get people that are actually conservatives hiding out and pretending to be liberals. And they get elected as liberals, but they're conservatives. It's a very strange thing that we do in Canada. I guess because some politicians up here are a little apprehensive of running under the conservative ticket, even though we've had many conservative governments. And so we patiently await a stronger dominion when the pendulum moves back to the conservative side. As it is inevitable, because things are slowly going to hell in a handbasket with all the promises of money on causes that we cannot generally afford. So today it is finally going to be cooler here, and when I say cooler, I mean 100 degrees versus the 111 or more the last few days. And the smoke has filled the airs. We have 78 forest fires going now in the province of British Columbia. Yay, forest fires. Go get them, team. That's a tough job, fighting forest fires in the summer in the heat. And all we can do is encourage people to use their ashtrays. Of course, Canada has had no shortage of idiots who work for the fire departments or the provincial forestry service who decide to light their own forest fire so they can get some work. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year, considering there are jobs aplenty in Canada, because Mr. Trudeau, our wonderful imperial leader, is still handing out billions of dollars for people to stay home. But today is Canada Day, so the masks are now optional in most places. But the travel bans are still on in many locations. You Americans, unless you also happen to be a Canadian citizen, or as we like to call you, a dually citizen, so you Americans unfortunately still cannot come up here yet. Canadians can leave and come back if they still want to pay for all the testing and they have to be fully vaccinated, blah, 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 blah. It's still a hassle to leave Canada, so I ain't leaving Canada till things lighten up even more. And there's still a travel ban to get into the Yukon with a 14-day quarantine. Still a 14-day quarantine for the province of Nova Scotia. So you can't just go anywhere you want in Canada yet. But it's a big country. Hey, we're the second largest country in the world, so not really a big issue, especially in the summer where everything's kind of opened up in terms of weather. Heck, even the weather in Tuktoyaktuk is tolerable right now on the Arctic Ocean. So as I sit here under the cloudy, smoky skies, inhaling the forest fire smoke, which I can definitely feel in my lungs, I'm going to wish you all, wherever you are, a happy Canada Day.